Hey guys, it's Mrs. H here, and we are going to be talking about division in this video. Now this video is really going to focus on being able to use mental math and estimation to solve division problems. So before we can really start talking about how you can use mental math to solve division, we have to talk a little bit about the relationship between multiplication and division. It's really important that you understand that multiplication and division are opposites. They can undo each other. They're what we call inverse operations. Let me show you an example of what that means when I say they can undo each other. So on this page I have some chips, and let's look at it first from a multiplication standpoint because that we're all pretty solid on. So if I was to look at these rows of chips that I have 1, 2, these are arrows, not fours, 3, 4 rows of chips. How many do I have in each of those rows? Well, in each row I have 3 chips. Total chips together would be 12. So if I were to take all 4 of those rows and put them together, I would get this big group down here. There are 12 chips in that big group. So the top shows me the array of 4 times 3 because we know multiplication is putting equal groups together. I have 4 equal groups with 3 in each group. If I put those all together, I would get what I have in that big circle that I just made down at the bottom. I would have 12 chips. Now, division, as I just said, undoes, I don't know which one. It's the inverse of multiplication, so it's going to undo it. Let me show you how that would look. So in division, I'm not going to start with looking at my array up top. I'm actually going to start down at the bottom with my big group, because division is where I'm taking something and I'm splitting it into equal groups. So if I were doing division, I would be taking those 12 chips, I'll write it here. I would be taking those 12 chips, and I'm going to be dividing those 12 chips into 4 groups. So I'm going to put some of them here, I'm going to put some of them here, I'm going to put some of them here, and then I'm going to put some over here. So I'm taking those 12 chips and I'm putting them into 4 groups. Then I would want to know how many are in each group. Well, I know that the answer would be 3. So hopefully you can see the relationship between this multiplication fact and this division fact. I didn't change the array, the arrangement of the chips, the number of chips, everything stayed the same. And I was able to show a multiplication problem where I started with equal groups, and then I was able to show a division problem where I put things into equal groups. So if I didn't know what 12 divided by 4 was, I could think to myself, okay, well, I don't know 12 divided by 4, but if I had 4 groups, how many would be in each group so that I could get 12? In other words, I need to think of 4 times what is 12? Well, I know 4 times 3 is 12, therefore the quotient to 12 divided by 4 would have to be 3. Okay, let's take that and head into some bigger problems. So if I was looking at 320 divided by 4, now remember today we're focusing on using estimating and mental math. This is a problem that I'm going to be able to solve mentally. Now the good thing about this is that 320 is a multiple of 10, so it ends in a 0, which is going to make this problem a little bit simpler. Now the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make this number 10 times smaller. So instead of 320, I'm just going to look at it like 32 divided by 4. Now, this is going to be an quotient, this will be our quotient. Now, we said that multiplication and division are related. They can undo each other. So if I wasn't sure what 32 divided by 4 was, I could use a multiplication fact to help me. So I know that 32 is the product of 4 and something. So I need to know my multiplication facts. 4 times what is 32? Well, I know my multiplication facts. 4 times 8 is 32. So if 4 and 8 is 32 when I multiply them, if I were to have 32 things, put them into 4 groups, how many would be in each group? I would have 8. Now, how is this going to help me answer my big division problem of 320 divided by 4? Well, I know the relationship between 32 and 320 is that 320 is 10 times bigger. So I need to make 8 10 times bigger? Well, in order to make 8 10 times bigger, all I have to do is add a 0 because 80 is 10 times bigger than 8. This is something that I would be able to do mentally in my head because I know the multiplication fact of 4 times 8 is 32, which would help me solve that problem. Let's look at one more that we can do mentally. So 6,300 divided by 7. Again, we're dealing with multiples of 10, which makes this much easier when we're doing division. So let's go ahead and take off those zeros. We're actually going to make this 100 times smaller and just change it to a 63 for now, divided by 7. Now, I'm going to use my multiplication facts again to help me. So I know that 63 is 7 times something. Lucky for me, I know my multiplication facts, and I know that 7 times 9 is 63. If 7 times 9 is 63, 63 divided by 7 is 9. How is this how is knowing that 63 divided by 7 is 9 going to help me with 6,300 divided by 7? Well, I know there's going to be a 9, and then I'm going to add 2 zeros. Because I have 2 zeros in my dividend, and 6,300 is 100 times bigger than 63, and 900 is 100 times bigger than 9. Again, I used multiplication to help me solve this problem. So those were ones that I could do pretty easy mentally. Now I'm going to show you how we could use some estimation to help us as well. Okay, so we're kind of going back to it's almost similar to the first problem that we did of 320 divided by 4, except here we're looking at 326 divided by 4. Now, I can't do this mentally, but that's kind of my goal. So I'm going to have to estimate this to help me. So the first thing that I need to think of is, what is a number that I could multiply by 4 that would get me as close as possible, if not right to, 326? Now, I don't know that, but what I'm going to do to make it easier, notice on the past two problems we did, 6,300, 320, they were all multiples of 10. I'm going to be doing some rounding here to get myself to a multiple of 10. So I'm going to maybe look at two options, 320 and 330, because those are both multiples of 10, and I'm going to see if I could divide either one of those by 4 easily. So when I look at 330, because if I were to round 326 to the nearest 10, it would be 330. So I'll look at that one first. So I'm thinking of my basic fact, 33 divided by 4. Well, if 33 divided by 4 is something, then 33 equals 4 times something. I don't know anything times 4 that equals 33. That's not something that I can do easily and mentally in my head. So I'm going to look at the 320 divided by 4. Again, I'm going to make it easier. Look at my basic fact of 32 divided by 4. If 32 divided by 4 is something, then I know 32, it's about 3, equals 4 times something. Well, 4 and 8 is 32, so 32 divided by 4 is 8. 320 divided by 4 is 80. So this would be my best estimate of 326 divided by 4. I had to round the 326 to 320 because 32 is a multiple of 4. 4 went into 32 really easily. It didn't go into 330 really easily. Okay, one more example. I have 6,418 divided by 7. So again, I'm going to be looking for multiples of 10 because that's going to be the best way for me to do this mentally. So I need to be thinking of some multiples of 7 that are close to 64. I could maybe look at 6,300. I could maybe look at 6,500. Now right away, I see a multiple of 7. I know that 65 is not a multiple of 7. I do know that 63 is a multiple of 7. I know that 7 times 9 is 63. I could do that mentally in my head. Therefore, I'm going to change 6,418 to 6,300 and then divide by 7. Because I know that 7 times 9 is 63. Well, 6,300 is just 100 times bigger, so I'm going to make 9 100 times bigger by adding my 2 zeros. So I had to round my 6,418 all the way down to 6,300 because that was something I could do mentally. If I would have rounded it to that 6,400, there's not a fact that can help me. 7 times nothing gets me to 64. This is going to require a lot more work, and I can't do it mentally in my head. And since I wanted you to be working mentally, the best choice for us here is to round it to 6,300. Hopefully you have a little bit better understanding as to how you can use mental math and estimation to solve division problems, and see you later.